Hello, everyone. I'm George from Ireland. Hello. So welcome back to my channel, talking about JD Vance's latest outburst. So JD Vance was speaking to Trump's work wife, Sean Hannity, uh, sometime of Fox News. I don't know, I'm not sure if he is still, but anyway, and he was talking about why the Ukrainians ought to capitulate, and the United States is fed up of funding them, and so on. That the Biden administration gave them such a bad deal, but cut to the chase, saying that accept our deal, give us all your minerals in return for no security guarantee, because we'll have some American workers there. That doesn't guarantee the United States are going to fight for them. The United States has got people working in just about every country in the world. I mean, American companies, not the U.S. government. And another point, so you're just doing it, not out of morality, not out of adherence to international law and treaties, nor even out of enlightened self-interest, not even recognizing that actually enhances American security too. You're only doing it to exploit their raw minerals, their raw materials, their resources, and so forth. But wait a second, Putin might give you an even better deal. If Ukraine's going to give you 50% of the profits and Russia would offer you 51%, you'd go for him, wouldn't you? Anyway, that's how mercenary he is. But better take that deal, JD Vance is saying, than 20,000 peacekeepers from some random country that hasn't fought a war in 30 years. Now, what a staggering ignoramus he is. Has he ever heard of Iraq? He served there for 6 months in the US Marines. Has he heard of Afghanistan? Only two countries have signified that they are willing to dispatch troops to be peacekeepers in Ukraine and defend it if needs be, were a ceasefire or peace plan to fail, and those are France and the United Kingdom. Now, I'm not very touchy about things. Yes, I'm a British citizen and an Irish one, and I criticize my countries a lot. I don't mind foreigners doing so as well, lacerate them, are open to scrutiny and ridicule, and there's a lot wrong with the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. So I'm not the sort of person who's going to throw the toys out of a pram or be incredibly touchy about it. But I think to say there's some random country, that's intended as denigration, and indeed it is. And imagine if somebody said that about the United States, because he would be so touchy. I'm not a blinkered chauvinist, but he definitely is. Um, France and the United Kingdom, they're both permanent members of the UN Security Council. They're not on a par with the United States, that's for sure. They're both nuclear powers. They're both puissant countries. The UK, they've got the sixth biggest economy in the world. France is it seventh, something like that. So they are countries to be reckoned with. And I know they're not superpowers, haven't been superpowers for a long time, but it was grossly disrespectful. It was intended to be disparaging of the closest allies of the United States, which have both been allies of the United States for 80 years. And there were British troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. Maybe they shouldn't have been. A lot of people think it's the wrong thing to do. There were French soldiers on that NATO mission, NATO that he so disparages, in Afghanistan. And of course, the United Nations Security Council gave a resolution, made it completely lawful. So he shouldn't be taking a swipe at them, and it shows just how staggeringly stupid he is. How did he get a degree? Is it Yale? Not to do his homework, not to look up on these things. And if it wasn't France and the United Kingdom he was being so rude about, who was he pouring score on? Name the countries. Does he not even know there's only France and the United Kingdom know that? I mean, I'm not the vice president of anywhere. I just, as a general reader, keep up with the news. We know that the president of the United States is the country's chief diplomat, so therefore the vice president is number two, and therefore it behoves him to keep himself abreast of developments in international affairs. Well, what a chump. What a disgrace he's been, and how he's strained relations with other countries. Now, of course, there are some headbanging ultra nationalists in the United States who'll be cheering this on, just like there are some idiotic people in the United Kingdom or France who would like to take a swipe at the United States. I mean, that's not my style. And okay, there's a lot to castigate in the United States. In most countries, I don't like the sort of one-upmanship and trying to be demeaning about another country. I don't think degradation of another country serves one well. I don't try and blow out somebody else's candles to make mine burn brighter. I remember that one from PSHE. Thanks, Dr. Goff. So it was undiplomatic, tactless to say the least, and he has previous. But this sort of boorishness, this puerile, big swinging dick attitude, that plays well with a segment of the American population. They think he's being tough, and they're cheering USA. being like that, chauvinistic, or I can't think there's another word for it, jingoistic almost, not fought a war in 30, 40 years, which is dead wrong. But another point, not fighting wars is a good thing. I respect the Swedes and the Swiss for staying out of it. And he said that that is the Trump's policy as well, to end wars, not start them. So how is this a measure of your wisdom or your virtue as a country to fight wars? Now, I'm not a pacifist. I recognize it is right to fight. War, if it can be avoided, should be avoided. This Ukraine war can't be avoided. I mean, it takes two to make peace. It only takes one to start the war. And actually, Trump's asinine policy has prolonged the war because Putin think everything's going my way. Since Trump's re-inauguration, he's cut off military aid or financial aid. Hungary's just blocked this 21 billion euro aid package. Trump is singing from my hymn sheet. Wow, Trump might well lift sanctions on Russia, and he's undermined them diplomatically, just been cut off at the knees. So why would I stop when it's going so well? I mean, actually, ironically, on the battlefield, it started to go a bit better for the Ukrainians. Have retaken smaller areas of land in eastern Ukraine, and the Russians beaten back with very heavy losses trying to cross the Dnieper near Kherson and Zaporizhia. So the Russians exhausted. If the Americans maintain the same level of aid that the Ukraine's been receiving under the Biden administration, the chances for Ukraine this year were almost rosy. Certainly to hold their ground, maybe retake a little bit to end the war decisive this year. I don't think so. Of course, I could be mistaken. So with American support, they had a fighting chance. Without it, it's going to be very difficult. But maybe finally the United States will see that the Europeans are doing what the USA defined them to do, and that's hugely increasing their defense spending, increasing their production of armaments and so on. Obviously, it takes a while. The war's been on for 3 years, up to a level where they can supply Ukraine. Now, Ukraine can keep going with just European support, but the Europeans are really going to have to double down on it. All these 155 millimeter artillery shells, they're going to have to give the great majority of them to Ukraine and not be rebuilding their stockpile. So it's a bit of a gamble that they won't need them for a war in another part of the world. And you just have to say, Iran, we're not definitely going to fight you, and I don't want to fight Iran at all. I see no reason for the Irish Republic, United Kingdom, any other European country to fight against Iran or China, no matter what happens in the Middle East, no matter what happens in Taiwan or else, actually just not a problem. And then the capability, Iran, whereas Ukraine very much is our problem. So he's stupid. He's been crass, calculatingly offensive. It's just needless to be so insulting about countries like that. At very best, he showed that he is loose-lipped. He doesn't think before he speaks. There's no need to be so disparaging like that, and to try to extort the Ukrainians who trusted you. So it really is disgraceful. And of course, JD Vance doesn't really believe what he says. We know that he recognizes that Trump is a shyster, is a thief, is a pathological liar, and Vance has taken a side anyway. Another point: never trust a man who can't even tell the truth about his own name. His surname is Bowman. It's JD Bowman, actually, not JD Vance. Let's call him Vice President Bowman. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching my channel. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, donate PayPal, georgecallahan7@gmail.com. Toodaloo.